You've accomplished so much. You've accomplished things that you weren't even thoughts. For so long in my early 20s, and even as a teenager, I was like, oh, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. No, you have to take action, Desi. There are actions that need to be taken. Sometimes it falls in your lap, okay? Sometimes it will fall in your lap. But, I mean, if you take a little action and it also falls in your lap, hey, you can have the fancy life that you've always wanted. You can travel to the places that you've never been before, and you can have these elevated experiences. I feel so elevated. It's insane. Welcome to my channel. My name is Desi. You are watching my channel, Desi Ventures. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I have recently turned 30 years old, and today's video is about what it's like to turn 30. And today we have a little bit of a different setup. I was just podcasting with my mother. If you are interested in a funny, witty podcast, me and my mother have started the Witty Wisdom Podcast, and I will link that YouTube channel down below. It's one of the reasons I'm wearing what I'm wearing. I also have my dog here on the side. If you do see him getting up, he has been giving me moral support all day. Let me tell you what it's like to come out of your 20s. It doesn't feel that much different. There is no awakening that's happening, but there is a little bit of an elevation that I feel internally. And I wanted to go over what you can expect when you turn 30 years old. All right, so my birthday was February 11th. Shout out to all my Aquariuses. All right, shout out to my 94 baby. Shout out to all my 30-year-olds. I feel so elevated. It's insane. So when I turned 30 just a few days ago, I went on a trip to Baltimore, Maryland. And I decided for my 30th birthday, in order to do it big without going somewhere super expensive, I would use some of my credit card points to book us a stay at the Four Seasons. I felt like that was part of the elevation that I'm feeling right now. I am paying for quality experiences. I'm not paying for the quantity of experiences. I'm paying for the quality. You have worked so hard in your 20s, and I think a lot of 20-year-olds can relate, just like in your 20s, mid-20s, late 20s. We work really freaking hard just to maintain a lifestyle. We work really hard just to survive and live, make sure we can try and afford a mortgage if we can even do that. So this was like a big thank you to myself of, hey, you worked really hard. Let's celebrate. We also had a really fancy dinner at the Four Seasons on my birthday. My birthday happened to be on the Super Bowl, but I went into it knowing that I wanted to do something that stepped up where I felt like I was in life, where it's like, hey, by the way, you can have the fancy life that you've always wanted. You can travel to the places that you've never been before, and you can have these elevated experiences. So I am giving the unsolicited advice that if you are going into your 30s, use those points that you've saved up, book that fancy hotel, even if it's just for 1, 2, or 3 nights, okay? Know that you can have those experiences and really enjoy it. I loved it. Four Seasons, such a nice hotel. Would I say that a Marriott, like a nice room at the Marriott, is just as good? Yeah. But I will say the Four Seasons has like $70 lotion in the bathroom, which is kind of crazy. Now, if you have come from one of my most recent videos where I talk about my health, going into my 30s, I did take a lot of time to look into my health and make sure that all aspects of me were looked at. So fitness-wise, I've started working out from home more often just because it fits in with my schedule. I've always worked out. I was a group fitness instructor in college. I've done the CrossFit circuit. I did Olympic weightlifting. I did one competition for Olympic weightlifting. I ended up tearing my ACL for the 3rd time in my life, days after that competition, because I did not deload that week. And I just thought I could, hit a snatch. And I couldn't hit that snatch. Tore my ACL nice and clean. After I had my surgery, I ended up doing a sprint triathlon, and then I started doing half marathons. And so now I just weightlift for half the year, and then I pretty much run for the other half of the year. With that said, I did want to take a look into my test results as far as blood work, making sure that I'm feeling fine, taking allergy tests, and I noticed that, hey, the body's not at its prime right now. We really got to take a look into this diet, because I feel like I have pretty good habits as far as working out. As far as diet, I'm not as diligent. I never have been. So I really started taking a look at my diet, what I'm eating, how I can lower some of these high test results that I was getting. And I've really been able to stick to a low meat diet. Now, if you watch my last video, I wasn't eating meat at the time. A lot of people had a lot of stuff to say in the comments about no protein. I'm still getting protein. It's just from different sources. It's just not from meat. I did start to implement lots and lots of veggies, which meant I wasn't eating as much meat just generally. And I'm not eating as much meat generally. For my birthday, I did splurge a little. I, had my little filet mignon or whatever's. But I decided to kind of take a step back and not eat as much meat. And eat as much dairy and not eat as much wheat, which is really, really hard to not eat wheat. But I'm doing it. So that was another thing going into my 30s, was really taking a look at my health as I move into another stage of life, just to make sure I'm healthy during these years. Now, when you turn 30, it feels like a really monumental moment, but it's just another age. You don't feel this overnight sensation of feeling any different, but you almost feel like you have to prepare for that overnight turning of age. So I have been changing my wardrobe and my style for the past 6 months. And I think that was just me wanting to always have an elevated wardrobe and an elevated style. So that's exactly what I did. I have tons of videos of fashion hauls from Meniere Devoir. That's my new favorite brand. Not only have I created an elevated experience for myself turning 30, I've looked into my health, but I'm elevating like how I feel on a day-to-day basis by making sure that I'm working out, making sure that I'm eating healthy, and making sure I feel good in the clothes that I'm wearing and that they fit me well. Now, turning 30 doesn't mean that you all of a sudden change your career, that you all of a sudden change your hobbies. But I do think it gives you that extra motivation into doing what you want to do. I want to make sure that in my 30s, I am doing all of the hobbies, side hustles that I want to do. That means starting podcasts that I've always wanted to start, making sure I take my YouTube channel seriously and that I'm posting consistently and that I'm building up this brand that I've always wanted. And I think this is great advice for any age, is really setting yourself up for what you want to do. For so long in my early 20s, and even as a teenager, I was like, oh, I'll figure it out. No, you have to take action, Desi. There are actions that need to be taken. Sometimes it falls in your lap, okay? Sometimes it will fall in your lap. But, if you take a little action and it also falls in your lap, hey, that's good too. So taking the action to do the things I want to do, even if it's so outlandish, like right now, I have a whole microphone in front of me connected to a podcast mixer. I'm filming on my camera that I just happened to buy one random day 2 years ago. Really step into the hobbies that you would love to do. And if you have something that you've always wanted to do, I'd love to hear what that is in the comments down below. This can even go for fitness. Like I had always wanted to run a half marathon because I hated running. I've run 4 half marathons now. And I'm only 30. I'd love to run a marathon, but running a half marathon, like when you're in it, you feel like that shit's not gonna end. And I can't imagine doubling that time. But even if it comes to fitness goals, dietary changes, career goals, obviously side hustles, buying homes even, really start to take the steps necessary to see what needs to be done to do that, to achieve that. And just start one day at a time, right? Like some days all I do is just research, like even just starting with a slight Google search. How do I start a podcast? What equipment do I need? How do I have multiple voices? How do I set up cameras? What are the best settings for my camera? How do I start a YouTube channel? How do I run? How do I work out? What's the best timings for workouts during the day? What I'm trying to get at is when I turned 30, I felt like I had more motivation to do the things that I wanted to do. And I feel like it's great advice to go ahead and start taking the steps necessary to do the things that you want to do. Now, the last thing I'll end on when turning 30, because I feel like a lot of this is already prioritizing yourself, so I don't even need to mention to prioritize yourself, but also reflecting. I think this is a big part of a motivating factor of getting the things done that you want to do and elevating your life is reflecting. You've accomplished so much. You've accomplished things that you weren't even thoughts at an early age. And I think that's so crazy that I have accomplished things I weren't even in my brain. Like, I didn't even believe I'd own a home. Didn't even know, like, that wasn't even a thought to me to own a house. So really reflecting on my past life, like thinking about how much I've accomplished in these 30 years, and even just within the past 10 years, I feel like reflecting and showing gratitude to my past self is even more important to me now, knowing that I am creating this life for myself where I feel elevated because of my past self. Like, I have so much gratitude to her. As far as turning 30 years old, I feel elevated. I feel grateful. I feel more motivated for my fitness, health, career, and hobbies. And if you can relate, definitely leave me a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you guys in my next one. There are cats outside of my window right now. You don't see them, do you?